right. Good morning, evening, afternoon, everybody, wherever you are. It is going to be exciting 2020 for everybody in the 3D space. And one of the new things that I will be doing this year is doing a lot of interviews and meeting a lot of people and bringing people together. And I call this experiment a 3D value network, which inherently will hopefully open up the minds of everybody on creating a new kind of business model for the 3D industry. So instead of doing a transactional model where somebody's creating something and selling it to somebody else, I believe we have far more potential and power to all work together and creating companies together where everybody will have an upside in the end-to-end result. But my first interview for 2020 is with 3Dvinci Creations. And Edouard Baaklini, I would like you to get the stage for a couple of minutes and give me an introduction of yourself to all the people that are going to be watching. Who are you and why am I talking to you?
Yes, hi, John. Thanks for hosting me today. So, and again, good morning, afternoon, night, wherever people are. I am Edouard Baaklini. I am the CEO of 3Dvinci Creations. And we are a business based in Dubai, UAE, and we basically provide 3D printing services primarily for the construction industry, so primarily in concrete. And we've been doing this for the last 5 years, and glad to be here and glad to share with you. Like you said, I think we can do a lot together, and
Great,
especially in this domain.
Great. So you said 5 years you've been working in the concrete space in Dubai. So what are you currently working on? What kinds of projects have you been executing in the last 5 years? I can understand that some of these things might be confidential, but whatever you can share, what have you been working on?
Yeah, we did the first in situ project for 3D printing with the Dubai Water Authority, Electricity and Water Authority, back in 2016. And basically what we did was we printed a 140 square meter office building. It was a one-story building. We did it with a robotic arm. And basically we finished the project. Right now we just finished the project. Like you said, we are under an NDA with the client, so we cannot talk a lot about it, but it's gonna be will be revealed soon, so everybody will know about it. It's a 150 square meter villa, also G level only, and the villa is a commercial villa, so it would be basically sold to a whole household. It's just like any regular villa, and that's what makes it unique, because it's gonna be a product that is gonna be sold to it.
So everything working, fully regulated, plumbing, electricity, people are sleeping there. It's not just the media, blah, blah, blah. People are actually going to buy the house and they're going to live in it.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. I'm very excited about that. And also I wanted to touch on one topic, which I've seen in the media now a few times, that Dubai has a mandate, and please correct me if I'm wrong. So Dubai has a mandate that by 2030, 25% of buildings need to be 3D printed. So for me, at first, this sounded like a bit of oh wow, that's a big promise. So do you know more about that in your region?
Yes, in Dubai, there's a big initiative for 3D printing in general. The aim of the government here is to have Dubai being a 3D printing hub, a global 3D printing hub by 2030. I think they're focusing primarily on healthcare and construction. For the construction area, for the construction space, yes, it is true. The ruler announced that it should be 25% of all buildings be 3D printed by year 2030. Now there's a debate in terms of what constitutes 25%, but that's a bigger vision. We're working right now with the authorities on trying to develop. So it's going to be incremental. So it's going to be 2% every year of the building being 3D printed, starting from this year until 2030.
Okay, got it. So that's very exciting news. So you kind of, I feel like you're in the right place when it comes down to construction and 3D and pushing these things out in the world. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. But what I wanted to understand a little bit, and again, I'm not sure how much you can share, but from the business metrics, so you are, so let's say this villa, for example, so you are doing the printing work, or are you selling the home, or how does a business model work in a 3D construction world when somebody's printing a home? Because obviously you have the system is totally different now. You have less people, you have different issues, different challenges, and so how does a business landscape look like?
Yeah, exactly. This is one of the major issues that is with 3D construction, 3D printing and construction, is the governance of the project. We're basically working with a very old, very conservative, very set industry, which is in construction. And so we're trying, basically, we are a disruptive force right now in this area. What we basically did for this particular project, and even for the project that we did before, but primarily for this project that we just finished, is we adapted our service to the current processes that the client and the contractors and the designers and all the different players in the chain value of the project. But this is not the proper way to do it. And I think that we realized that, everybody realized that, the client realized that, the contractor realized that. And so we now understand how a project should be governed when it's actually being 3D printed. I can elaborate a lot on that. I don't know how far you want to go into this topic.
And you kind of already answered my next question there, that there are still challenges within these larger construction companies on how to adapt this. So it might be that you might need to kind of wipe it all out and completely start from scratch. But what do you think?
Yes, absolutely. The model that we are basically adopting in this business is you have to look at it more of a product development. So the house becomes a product, and it's manufactured. And so the manufacturer, the decision is, who is the manufacturer? Is it the contractor? Is it companies like us? Is it X? And what we're doing, John, is we're trying to educate, and there's a big part there, to educate the contractor on the technology itself.
Yeah.
Not trying to change the big contractors to change the entire process of how they used to do construction, from the client putting the bid out to the design, to the approval process, to all of this, where we come in and we basically shorten the entire cycle from concept to construction by big margin. So instead of taking months, now you're talking weeks.
Yeah.
That's a very big change for the contractors here and globally. And it's a big challenge, but it is disruptive. I mean, you can enhance, but it's not the proper way. It's not, you're not going to give 3D printing its proper place, and you're not going to actually reap the reward of 3D printing if you just plug it into the current process. What you need to do,
the existing value chain. So, I'm glad to hear that, because then you kind of forced to create a new kind of value network around different companies, and maybe it's not going to be 30 companies, but just 3 or 4 or 5, to keep things very, very simple. So I'm very happy to hear that. But let's talk about a very, small tactical element on the construction area, because of course I see a lot of these things in the media, like, hey, we 3D printed a house in 24 hours. And I'm like, okay, well, there's only plants there and it's painted and all that. How did you do that in 24 hours? So obviously the reality is that probably some of the walls were printed, but how do you then incorporate everything else into, let's say, for example, this villa, in order to make it livable, from plumbing to electricity to AC to all this kind of stuff? How does that work within your process?
Correct. Well, with this project, what we did was we printed the entire wall, the vertical wall, as well as the concrete formers for the reinforced concrete column.
Okay.
Everything else was done traditionally. Now it was the client's decision to basically have parts of it just with applying gypsum board, your dry walls to cover, and then they pass the plumbing, they pass the electrical, they pass all of this the traditional way.
So are you saying that let's say you have a 3D printed concrete wall, then you have a drywall, then you have plumbing, and you have another drywall, or you go and cut the concrete that you painted to plumbing to fit the electricity and all that, or how does that technically work?
No, basically what we had was we had two walls, two 3D printed walls, and then followed by basically by a space where we put insulation, and then the drywall, and behind the drywall is where so all the work that was done with the plumbing and the electrical was done
Yeah.
in the drywall itself, in that space that we kept between the printed wall and the drywall.
Yeah, got it. Next question is about, again, going back a little bit to the business metrics. So I see this. From my perspective, the 3D printing of concrete has certain scalability challenges. So let's say I'm the Minister of Housing of Ghana, or I don't know, Angola. Hey, I want to have a million homes. Then how would you do that? How would you scale 3D printing on a global scale? Because I see again that people say that it's so fast and cheap and all that. Oh, great. Okay, I'll order 1 million homes. How do we go about it?
Yeah, this is definitely a big question and a big challenge, and we are actually working on a project like that is not 1 million, but it's a community of villas, let's say, community of. And the approach here is there's two things. We definitely have to work on the current state of the technology, the printer itself, and then we also have to work on the cost structure as well, and the resource allocation, meaning people. I mean, you cannot go right now out and find a lot of people who understand concrete printing. So that's a very big challenge.
There's a lot of education is still required.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, even the job roles are new. So you have different people now that didn't previously existed in this industry that we have to create and educate and teach. Now, it is doable with the current status. It's challenging, but it is completely doable. It's the upfront cost is a bit high because of the number of printers that you need to do such a project.
Yeah.
But in terms of if you depreciate it over the years that you're gonna do such projects, then it becomes cost effective. You can finish these projects pretty fast. But again, I go back to the issue of it has to be considered from a manufacturing perspective rather than a construction perspective, because right now you are developing basically a product, and instead of developing a prototype, which is one house, now you have a mass production of houses. Whether you do it on site, whether you do it in situ, or whether you do it in some place and ship it over like they do it in modular, any of this is possible with 3D printing. We just have to take a look at the particular case and look at which printer or printers or technologies that are in 3D printing that can be applied to this particular project.
Yeah, got it. So there's still a lot of question marks and all that, but you see a very bright future.
Definitely. I think that there was a lot of lessons learned in the last two projects that we did, and every time we get better. And I think that the technology, look, there's always, whenever you introduce a disruptive technology, something so new, there's a lot of people who want to obviously fight it and stop we can't stop really innovation. What you get out of all of the benefits that you get out of 3D printing in concrete will definitely worthwhile the investment. It's worthwhile to develop this business in terms, like you said it before, John, in terms of speed, cost, freedom of design, availability, scalability, everything. This technology can actually provide, but it does have a long way to go. It does have a lot of development, especially when it comes to material development.
Got it. Materials, yeah, I can imagine there, because again, if you're, printing something out in the open in a minus 30 degrees or plus 40, what do you have there? You're going to have a different kind of material science that is going to be required, and of course the regulations that go around it. So, well, just to wrap up, is there something that you would like to still share with the listeners, or did I fail to ask something that you thought that I would have been very interesting for people to hear? Last question.
No, I think that's pretty much for a 15-minute meet. Pretty good. I think we covered a lot lot of area. But 3D printing definitely is here to stay. 3D printing in concrete, especially, it's here to stay. The development, we're already seeing a lot of development globally. So there's a lot of interest in Europe, in the US, here definitely in
Yeah,
Dubai.
it's going crazy. I say like every single day there's a new project, you know. So
And the applications, we haven't even started to look at the applications in terms of makeshift homes, in terms of disaster zones, in terms of, so a lot of applications definitely there. And I think that it's really a good time to be in this business. And I think it's going to be really good.
Cool. Awesome. Hey, thanks for your time, and bye everybody, and let's do more interviews next week.
Definitely.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao. Ciao, ciao.